Hi Bearcats! Welcome to the next episode of the Bonita Interview series. I'm Bianca, and this week I had the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Bird, the band director. He also teaches history of hip hop and the history of rock and roll. In this episode, we dive into his passion for hip hop and the history behind it. Let's get started. Okay, thank you so much for being with us today, Mr. Bird. I kind of just wanted to talk to you about how you fell in love with hip hop and rap music and the different stuff in them.
I would say that probably started in middle school when I was about between the ages of 11 and 14. I was still kind of figuring out what my musical styles were.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much into pop radio, but I was also listening to a lot of rock radio. And that was right around the time that pop rap was really becoming very popular. Groups like the Beastie Boys, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice. Of course, these were all very much marketed towards my market. And so it worked, and I loved it, bought the albums, and then when I got into high school, I got into more rock-influenced styles of music like progressive rock and heavy metal, and so I went away from it, but I always have that kind of special place in my heart for hip-hop and rap, and that has only grown in recent years.
Yeah, and at the time, did you have a favorite or just anything?
At the time, probably DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were my favorite.
Okay.
I also really liked Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock.
Okay.
They were very popular. I had their albums and I played them nonstop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then do you prefer more old school rap or newer school rap?
Okay, so interesting. I've learned that old school rap is actually a very specific genre of rap that was popular essentially starting in 1973 in the Bronx and kind of stopped around 1982, 83. And then new school started in the mid-'80s and only lasted for about 5 or 6 years. But I think you mean old school meaning pre-2000 and new school meaning post-2000.
Now,
My knowledge and my experience has been definitely in what you would consider old school, and I'm still learning a lot about new school rap.
Okay. Do you like learning about the new school rap a lot more?
I absolutely love learning about all genres of music, and specifically this one. In teaching the history of hip-hop class that I'm teaching, I've really challenged myself to try to immerse myself in this music. As a matter of fact, starting in December of this year, I challenged myself to listen to 100 albums in 100 days.
Really?
Yes, and so I'm on day 80. I've listened to 80 classic rap albums over the last 80 days. I've missed a couple of days along the way, and when I miss a day, I've then listened to 2 albums the next day.
Okay.
And that has just really opened up my mind and my understanding and appreciation of all the different genres. And I don't plan to. My original goal was 100 albums, but I'm not stopping at 100. I want to keep doing this and learning and absorbing as much of this fantastic music as I can.
That's really cool. That's a lot of music in the 100 days, though. That's way too much. But no, that's really cool. And when you're listening to the hip hop, do you listen more on the lyrics, the beat, or just how it sounds?
I try to listen to everything, and I also try to take my bias out of the music as much as I possibly can. I think the thing that probably bothers me the most is redundancy, and so when I'm hearing the same subject matter and the same repetitive beats, I can lose interest.
Yeah.
But as long as it's being innovative and saying something important or unique or whatever, I'm going to love it, 100%.
No, I totally understand that because sometimes they just repeat and repeat and repeat. And I'm okay, this is done.
Yep.
And then what are your thoughts about some of the problematic nature of some hip hop lyrics?
I've had to really, really deal with that a lot. Again, in my learning and teaching of both the history of rock and history of hip hop classes, I have to take my bias out of it if I'm going to be actually true to it. And so it's my philosophy that all musics are created equal, and that if I don't like something about a style of rap, that's my problem, that I need to figure out why is that happening. What is my bias that's creating that? And so I always try to look at the perspective of the writer of those lyrics and say, what were they experiencing at that time, and is there anger or issues with what's going on in society is whether it's justified or not. That's not for me to judge.
Yeah.
I need to understand, why are they feeling the way that they do? Why did they feel the need to express that? And they shouldn't have to justify themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is art, and this is expression, and this is what they were experiencing at that time. And so I have to get inside of that music instead of the music getting inside of me.
Okay, that's really cool though. That, like, you're able to do that, because some people aren't. They're just like, nah, I don't like this. Okay, bye.
It's not easy to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I know you teach the hip hop class, so like, is it difficult when you have to like play some of these lyrics and they like curse a lot or something?
I'm selective about what I play, but I want to tell the story and be true to the story.
Yeah.
Everybody who takes the class has to sign a waiver that says that they can listen to mature subject matter, and so I get a little bit more leeway, and I really appreciate the administration allows me to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm not editing any of the music, and so if the N-word shows up, the N-word shows up. If an F-bomb shows up, it shows up. That was what they intended, and I should not be changing that to make me more comfortable. Or to make anybody in the class more comfortable, for that matter. The one area where I kind of draw the line is at really explicit sexual content. I do not want to be teaching about that in class. It's really awkward. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes the kids uncomfortable. And so that's the one spot where I have to kind of say, and I let some of it go, but we're now starting to teach gangster rap, and that is a big part of it. A lot of misogyny, a lot of homophobia. They aren't always. Again, I have to check my bias and say, where are they coming from? Why do they feel this way? There's some anti-Semitism in there too. And so again, I'm always trying to figure out, why is that happening? And then, but usually I do struggle with some of the things that I hear in there. And I also have to recognize that this music was recorded and written at a different age, 30 years ago, when we didn't have kind of the attitudes towards social issues that we do today. We don't have the taboos about what words we can and can't say, or which communities we marginalize. And so from their perspective, it was totally normal to be misogynistic and homophobic, because the world was. And so things have changed.
Yeah. No, totally understand that, because like it's a lot. And then you've been listening for a long time, so do you think there's any like underrated rappers that should get recognition?
Most definitely. One of my favorites, Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, were really, really important to my appreciation of rap early on, and I don't think they're kind of held in the same regard as some of the other rappers from their time period. I have a couple written down here. I also think that Rakim, of Eric B. and Rakim, while is usually treated as a legend, I think mainstream has not gotten maybe the recognition. E40 is also a really, really great West Coast rapper who was very innovative for his time period, and probably doesn't get as much respect as you should.
Yeah, and like, do you emphasize more on them in your class, or like, do you even teach about them at all?
So in the class, I'm usually talking about the ones that were most popular. Who were selling platinum albums, multi-platinum albums, whose singles were not only popular on the rap and R&B charts, but also popular on the pop charts. And then usually at the end of each chapter, I'll put an honorable mention or a couple of those, where maybe we won't go totally in depth into their whole career and everything, because there isn't a whole lot to research or talk about, because they weren't super popular, but that doesn't mean that their talent isn't important, that they didn't inspire other artists that came after them. So usually those underrated artists show up in the honorable mentions.
Oh, okay. That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
And then do you have a favorite hip-hop song?
Favorite hip-hop song for right now? It is the Beastie Boys' Sure Shot. I keep coming back to that one every single time. Off of their, I believe it's Check Your Head. It, at a time when the misogyny was really, really big, at that time, MCA has a section of the last half of the second verse where he talks about being respectful to women. And that always speaks to me every time I hear it. And there needs to be more of that, I think, in rap music.
Yeah. And then have you ever seen any hip-hop artists in concert?
I went to my first rap concert back in October, and it was super fun and exciting. It was Timbaland, Ciara, Busta Rhymes, and Missy Elliott. They all played at the Crypto.com Arena.
Oh, okay.
And I had a spectacular time. It was a ton of fun. It was very different from any other rock concert
Yeah.
I'd ever been to.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to get more of the concert experience as opposed to just the recorded experience to be a part of my knowledge.
Who would you want to go see in concert?
I've just found out that Wu-Tang Clan is coming together for a reunion concert, their final concert tour this summer. They're going to be at the Crypto.com Arena on June 22nd. Tickets go on sale I think in other areas they go on sale Friday, but I'm not sure when they're going to go on for LA.
Okay.
They haven't announced that on sale date yet.
Okay.
But I definitely want to be at that show
Yeah.
100%. If there's a group that I could see that maybe isn't available anymore, I think it would be really amazing to see an NWA concert.
Okay.
To see how the crowd reacted and
Yeah.
how they were involved in that during that time period.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And then where do you see the future of hip hop going?
I think the sky's the limit. I don't think there's they've done so much over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just celebrated its 50th anniversary.
Really?
Because it essentially started in 1973 in the Bronx. It wasn't recorded until 1979. But there was rapping happening from 70 to 79, but they couldn't get recorded because everybody thought it was a fad. And it was only happening in the Bronx, and there weren't a whole lot of record executives trying to capture that sound at that time. So it's celebrating its 50th anniversary, and it has constantly reinvented itself. Again, I haven't done a whole lot of research yet on the latter years or the most recent ones, but even seeing Kendrick's performance at the Super Bowl really inspired me to want to get there quickly so that I can really experience that.
Yeah.
And he's on to something that is really spectacular, and I want to see more of that grow.
Well, that's all my questions for today. So
Cool.
Thank you so much for being here today and telling us about your love for hip hop, because it's actually really cool.
It's my pleasure, and it was nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed getting to know Mr. Bird better and his passion for hip hop. Stay curious, Bearcats, and join us next week for another interview. See you then.